So apparently we're on UFO number 3. There's probably a lot more UFOs, and everybody wants to believe it's aliens. I certainly would love to believe it's aliens. And I guess the news that we're getting is the U.S. doesn't know what kind of propulsion system these objects are using. It's unknown. And they're interfering with our sensors, and they're flying at altitudes which interfere with U.S. civilian commercial flights. So, act of war? Maybe. Spying? Perhaps. Aliens? I wish, but probably unlikely. And I don't really wish, because aliens coming here would probably mean something very, very devastating. I think it was Stephen Hawking who talked about, like, we definitely don't want aliens to know that we're here, because our understanding of life is that every time a more advanced culture, civilization, or society approaches an under-advanced one, a less technologically advanced society, the more advanced one crushes the less advanced one or absorbs it and assimilates it. And it's an interesting concept. That is to say, the belief is there is a high probability that if aliens do come, we will be assimilated into their way of life. Our culture will be destroyed. And hey, maybe that's what's happening right now. So not necessarily a good thing, but I got to point out, at least philosophically, yeah, I don't know that any sufficiently advanced species that could travel far and fast enough to come to our planet would have the same kind of values that we do. In fact, the idea that aliens would even look like humanoid beings that could exist in our atmosphere is probably not correct. For all we know, intelligent life could be gigantic, gaseous, gooey balloons with no eyes or ears, but they can detect, various wavelengths of the electromagnetic spectrum, and then they float around and do whatever. Who knows? But I'd imagine anything that was able to build systems and manipulate their environments may actually be humanoid. Okay. All right, I'm getting into the alien stuff way too early. But I do have an argument for you as to why, if aliens do come to Earth, they may actually have some kind of hands. They may actually be bipedal. And I'll break that down for you because I've been thinking about this. But first, let's talk about the news. We got the story from Outlook India. Explained, U.S. fighter shoots down third UFO in 3 days. Military does not rule out aliens. What does it mean? Okay, that's just so silly. You can't rule out aliens. Come on. No, but we can say please. Disclose.tv with probably the best tweet of last night. Yes, I know the Super Bowl happened, but this one's way better. Pentagon does not know to what keeps these objects aloft. Unknown propulsion systems. We're calling them objects, not balloons, for a reason, says U.S. Air Force General Glenn Van Herk. More. Van Herk says that he hasn't ruled anything out yet when asked whether he rules out aliens. What? I mean, I guess technically you can't. Unnamed U.S. defense official now tells Reuters there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity in recent takedowns of aerial objects. But why would there be? You know, that's why it's a silly question. It's like, could it have been interdimensional space demons? And it's like, okay, well, I mean, probably not, because I don't think those things exist. They might, but how am I supposed to prove a negative? Come on. I think it would be fun and funny if we could, but here's the actual news. Check this out. The U.S. has shot down 3 suspicious flying objects in 3 days. Here's what we know about the UAP floating over North America. UAP, get this UAP out. UFO. They say UAP is unexplained aerial phenomena. Phenomena? That could be like a cloud, like ball lightning or something. No, an unidentified flying object, okay? I see UFOs all the time because I can't identify what those lights are. Probably just a plane, but still, it's a UFO to me. No, but in all seriousness, if there is an unidentified flying object, call it that. UAP is dumb. It makes sense to call something a UAP, an unidentified aerial phenomena, if you're seeing a weird light zigzagging around, because then you're like, well, that's a phenomena we don't know. It's not an object. We can't tell. It's a ball of light, But if it's an unidentified flying object, call it a UFO. It doesn't mean, but I guess people think UFO and they think aliens or whatever. Business Insider. A week after shooting down a suspected Chinese spy balloon that floated over the country, F-22 jets shot down an unidentified object threatening flights over Alaska on Friday. Reports offer conflicting details about the object's capabilities and origin. And U.S. intelligence officials have released limited information about its design or intended purpose. Recently, unidentified anomalous phenomena, is that what it is? Anomalous phenomena? I thought it was aerial. I think they're wrong. Have been observed not just over the United States, but floating above Canada, Colombia, and Costa Rica. In addition to the first surveillance balloon seen over the country beginning January 31st, a second balloon was spotted over Latin America February 4th. And 2 unidentified objects were shot down over Alaska and Canada on Friday and Saturday. An additional object was shot down on Sunday over Lake Huron in Michigan near the U.S.-Canadian border, prompting a brief closure of the airspace around Michigan to support Department of Defense activities. Airspace over Montana was also briefly restricted on Saturday after reports of radar anomalies in the region, the North American Aerospace Defense Command said in a statement posted to Twitter. But after an investigation, no additional object was found. A Sunday statement from the Pentagon suggested that the radar anomalies detected in Montana on Saturday were related to the object shot down less than 24 hours later in Michigan. Based on its flight path and data, we can reasonably connect this object to the radar signal picked up over Montana, which flew in proximity to sensitive DOD sites. Yikes. According to the Pentagon, China has a global operation of surveillance balloons collecting data on military bases, including the balloon downed last week. But the object shot down Friday has not been confirmed to be linked to Chinese officials or anyone else. Here is what we know about the objects shot down over the weekend. 3 UAP were at an altitude that conflicted with civilian flights. Quote, I can confirm the Department of Defense was tracking a high-altitude object over Alaska airspace in the last 24 hours. White House National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby told reporters at a Friday briefing. The object was flying at an altitude of 40,000 feet and posed a reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight. The balloon seen floating above the country last week hovered at around 60,000 feet, according to the Pentagon, which is well out of the general cruising altitude of commercial aircraft, which normally operate between 33,000 and 42,000 feet. The Wall Street Journal reported the object shot down on Sunday, the third down in 3 days, was shaped like an octagon and hovered at an altitude of 20,000 feet. Pentagon officials said in a Sunday statement it also posed a hazard to civilian aviation. Could it be aliens? Technically, but probably not. You know, one of my favorite conspiracy theories is that we were about to go into nuclear war and aliens came, I kid you not, people believe this, and turned off all of our nuclear weapons, stopping us. Sure, I guess, whatever, believe what you want to believe. I mean, maybe, but I've not seen anything. But maybe that's the general idea here, is that we're about to enter war with China. Maybe this weird object we shot down was aliens trying to stop the war. I doubt it, because we shot it down. If it was aliens, wouldn't like it be more advanced or something? Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe, whatever. But I have some theories. And I will talk to you about aliens, and you're going to love it. Trust me. Officials haven't confirmed the origin of the objects. Kirby said officials first became aware of the Alaskan high-altitude item on Thursday night, but even after shooting it down, could not confirm its origin, saying, we do not know who owns it. Whether it's a state-owned or corporate-owned or privately owned, we just don't know. If it was another Chinese spy balloon, that indicates that China is either incompetent in operating these platforms or potentially deliberately provoking the U.S. It is also important for the U.S. and China to maintain direct communications during times like this, especially between the militaries. Officials confirmed the origin of last week's Chinese surveillance balloon 2 days after it was first sighted. Chinese officials have acknowledged the first balloon came from their country, but maintain it was a civilian airship used mainly for meteorological research. Indeed. We're calling this an object because that's the best description we have right now. China has not made any claims regarding the objects shot down in Canada and Alaska, but authorities in the eastern Shandong province said Sunday they had also seen an unidentified flying object near the Yellow Sea and planned to shoot it down, according to China's state-affiliated tabloid, The Global Times. During a Sunday interview with ABC News, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said he had been briefed on the objects shot down on Friday and Saturday and had been told they were likely balloons, but much smaller than the first one, Schumer said, reiterating that the object's altitude could have interfered with commercial airspace, prompting the decision to bring it down immediately. The first balloon, there was a much different rationale, which I think was appropriate rationale. We got enormous intelligence information from surveilling the balloon as it went over the United States. That does make sense. I can accept that, to be completely honest. One of the reasons, people were saying, hey, shoot it down, the first balloon. And there's a lot of arguments why we should have and a lot of arguments why we shouldn't have. One was, if it was carrying a bomb and we shoot it down, is it going to cause collateral damage to civilians or civilian property? The other, I suppose, makes a lot of sense. We want to know what it is. We want to spy on it and see what it is doing. If you take the balloon out, you will not be able to learn its origins or purposes or what it was collecting. We want to analyze it as much as possible. So it's like when, they do this sometimes with hackers. You know that someone intrudes in your system. What do? Seal off the system, target the hacker, they disappear. Or do you set a honeypot trap? That's what it's called. So when you know someone's intruding in your system, you create something that sounds oh so juicy that they go after and boom, you got them. You caught them, right? Or think about it this way. You got a raccoon trying to kill your chickens, because you know I like chickens. Well, you can put up a fence and hope the raccoon goes away. It probably won't, and then it'll find another way to break in, or you can set a trap for it. Your choice. I mean, it just depends on what you think works. Schumer did not confirm whether the objects shot down Friday or Saturday had come from China. The interview aired prior to the third object being shot down on Sunday. The third. And my favorite was when you had the CNN personality being like, we have no idea what's making these things fly. I'm gonna burst your aliens bubble though. I'm sorry, I have to burst your aliens bubble. I have some fun stuff to talk about aliens, but I'm gonna show you something cool. All right, just bear with me. Let's do the news first. Officials are working to recover the debris from the object shot down on Friday, which landed on frozen water off the Alaskan coast. The AP reported the device was described by officials familiar with them as a type of airship. The officials spoke to AP on the condition of anonymity to discuss the ongoing investigation. The object shot down on Saturday was spotted in the northern Canadian territory of Yukon. Reuters reported Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and said Canadian officials would recover and analyze the debris. The Yukon high-altitude object was described by Canadian Defense Minister Anita Anand as cylindrical in shape, Reuters reported, though no other details have yet been officially released. The items shot down on Friday and Saturday were both believed to have a payload attached to or suspended from them. The item shot down on Sunday over Lake Huron was described as having strings hanging from it, but carrying no discernible payload. All three were described as smaller in size than the balloon shot down on the South Carolina coast on February 4th. The debris field in the Atlantic Ocean, after the first balloon was shot down, measured 15 football fields by 15 football fields. Wow. With a depth of around 50 feet. General Glenn Van Herk, commander of NORAD and U.S. Northern Command, told reporters on Monday. He added the balloon was about 200 feet tall with a payload size of a jet airliner and estimated to weigh a few thousand pounds. Whoa! That's crazy. Wait. That's nuts. Schumer told ABC News on Sunday it remains unclear what intelligence China was able to gather from the balloon shot down on February 4th. Conflicting reports from pilots. Prior to shooting down the object on Friday, Kirby told reporters the pilots of the F-22 jets that took it down determined it was an unmanned and lacked the ability to maneuver midair and change its speed like previous balloons they'd been seeing. He did not share additional details. Some of the F-22 pilots who tracked the aircraft that was downed over Alaska yesterday said that it interfered with their sensors and they could see no propulsion systems on the aircraft, not knowing how it could possibly be staying in the air. I love it. According to the public military, an intelligence scanner, open source intelligence monitor. That's it right there. A balloon, if they said it has no known propulsion system, then you're like, okay, yeah, it's a balloon. What they're saying is it can't move. But what they added was they could not, they did not know how it could possibly be staying in the air. Oh, that's silly to me. Because I'm going to show you some technology, which I think is pretty epic, but sure. Open source intelligence monitor did not immediately respond to insiders' request for comment. CNN reported an anonymous source with knowledge of the briefing said the pilots shared conflicting observations about the object, including whether it had interfered with their systems, and said that they could not explain how it stayed in the air. In December, the DOD established the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office to identify unidentified anomalous phenomena. Is that what UAP means? I thought it was, okay, I got that one wrong. I thought it was aerial phenomena, but that's a dumb name. In the space, air, on land, and sea, that may threaten national security. The term UAP replaces the traditional unidentified flying object or UFO designation, as officials expected to evaluate anomalies across all domains. That's stupid. So an unidentified anomalous phenomena, what that could be like, I don't know, like a boat. It's like, what's that weird looking thing floating? How's it floating? Oh, that's a UAP. Oh, come on. While it is unclear if unknown terrestrial objects have been seen recently, former Navy pilots David Fravor and Alex Dietrich told CBS News in 2021 about an encounter with an unknown object while conducting pre-deployment training in 2004. The pair described tic-tac looking objects. Ooh, oh boy. Daily Mail's got it. Could UFOs over the U.S. be the same as the infamous Tic Tac caught on video? Experts say mysterious objects resemble white oblong spotted by the U.S. Navy in '04 as the Pentagon refuses to rule out aliens. Aliens. Okay, I'll tell you why I said I wish. Because wouldn't that just be more exciting? What do we got? This season of Earth simulation has been boring. Okay, so we get a midterm election. The Republicans don't do all that well. Everyone's kind of shrugging. Joe Biden's got classified documents. We blah, 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 on and on and on about it. And then we get so bored that all of a sudden this independent media infighting erupts basically among everyone. And it's just like, guys, we need something else. Like, what is this? Is this like the new season launches and they're like, in this season of Earth simulation, we're going to have everybody fight with each other. And then I'm all like starting to fight with people. And then I'm like, guys, no, we can't fight. We can't fight. We got to focus. Right? It's stupid to fight. I'll eat that one. Let's focus. And so we do, I guess. And then all of a sudden aliens. It's like, okay, I guess if we're not going to play ball with whatever that is, they got to make something more entertaining. They were like, can we make everybody fight? No, aliens. That'll entertain people watching the simulation. So this is cool. I mean, sort of cool. If it is aliens, we may be in very serious trouble. Or worse still, the more likely thing, in my opinion, is military tech that we don't understand. The U.S. military doctrine is denoted by air superiority. This is what we do. We go from the air, we blow you up, then we come in. But if some other military power, China, has now developed technology that propulsion systems we don't understand, we could be in trouble. We could lose or at least be in conflicted space. If they can produce objects that can move on a dime, tic-tacking about, right? Shaped like a tic-tac and zoop, 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 zoop. And it could be lower energy propulsion, more stable and longer aerial, flight. Well, that could put us in trouble because we got jets and we got drones. But honestly, I don't know. Ian likes to talk about this on Timcast IRL, something called, talking plasma, I think he calls it. What you do is, it's a trick. You take 3 lasers and you have them all intersect in the sky. You can't see the lasers, but when they intersect, you can. And then you can move it around like an object zipping around. That just makes an illusion of something like a UFO zipping through the air, when in reality, it's just 3 ground lasers tricking you into thinking something's there. So they're wondering now if it could be the Tic Tac aliens. I don't know. Experts say green laser beams spotted above Hawaii last month were from Chinese satellite as tension grows. Yeah, that was a crazy story. Laser beams over Hawaii. Simple solutions first, then aliens. The simple solution, in my opinion, is, China's gearing up for war. If you think that ICBMs are the pinnacle of war tech, that's 70s technology. Come on, man. We created the multiple independently targeted reentry vehicles a long time ago, and that's an ICBM that can carry 12 warheads. You want to talk about little boy and fat man or whatever? Those gravity bombs that we dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, those are gravity bombs. That means you drop them from a plane and the force of gravity triggers the explosion. Then we developed ICBMs, a rocket carrying the payload to slam into you. And they do air burst. They blow up in the air and then spray the ground with that. Then we created MIRVs, multiple independently targeted re-entry vehicles. It's one ICBM, goes up into the stratosphere, and then all of a sudden 12 warheads come down and pepper your eastern seaboard, slamming into several cities all at once. And that's one. But if you think nukes are the pinnacle of that tech, you would be wrong. First of all, you might win the battle, lose the war, cut off your nose to spite your face. Sure, you could take out the United States, but then you leave the earth a smoldering wasteland. Fairly crude in terms of war. You need better tech. You need control. You need to shut down grids, economies, so cyber warfare makes more sense. I don't know what these devices or the laser scanning over Hawaii is going to accomplish for you. But I think it's fair to say that China wants Taiwan, and they got tech beyond what you would expect. Nobody knew about the nuclear bombs until we used them because we compartmentalized everything. There were theories about what it may have been with the Manhattan Project. Some people thought it was a death beam. Some of these legends or rumors were released on purpose to make the enemy fear what we were building. For all we know, these are gimmicks to try and trick us into thinking that they've got some advanced tech when they don't. But a lot of people underestimate China. I got to tell you, man, they got 1.5 billion people. They could be working on who knows what. Now, the one pushback, one good argument I've seen is we're in the era where we can monitor globally product transportation. That means if China was building anything crazy, we would see the ships coming in, the large quantities of titanium or sulfur or whatever they would need. And we'd say, we think they're building something. Maybe we do know that. You don't, I don't. So we sit here and someone's like, yeah, well, the US would know if they were, sure, but you wouldn't. So maybe China has been building some stuff and we just don't know about it. But let me talk to you about aliens, because aliens are fun. The first thing I want to do is break your heart, showing you this awesome video. This is Nicholas Rame, November 8th, 2022 on YouTube, The Extraordinary Redundancy of Spinning UFO Drones. You need only look up UFO drone to see something as incredible as this. Let me show you this video.
This weird-looking drone is about to have a motor failure. And now it's about to have another.
All right, so let me explain to those that are just listening what's happening. This guy, Nicholas Rame, has built an incredible object. Most of you are familiar with multi-rotor drones. Multi-rotor drones, like a quadcopter, like a DJI. It's got 4 propellers, and it floats around and goes ring, and then zips left and right. It can move really quick, and you can film with it. This man has built something extraordinary. It's a tri-rotor. It's got 3 propellers, but each propeller is resting on an airfoil. Or a fan shape. I think airfoil is the appropriate term. So what happens is you've got 3 rotors holding it in the air like a drone. But when one of them fails, the propellers instantly create rotational force, causing it to spin. By spinning, it stays in the air. With one motor functioning, the whole thing just spins. This is an amazing video where he actually programs how do you have an object that's spinning really fast with 3 propellers, pulling it around. He creates an LED strip and programs it so that whenever the orientation is in a certain direction, it lights up so you can see the front and then control it. It's a crazy mechanism, controlling the power of the rotors, very fine tuning. So the whole object is spinning like a UFO. Take a look at this. I'll show you. For those that are just listening, I'll have to explain it because you'll be able to see it. But in it,
when I give a control input, you can hear the motors spooling up and down as they rotate around. This is that sinusoidal pulsing we just implemented.
Basically, what he's done is he's created a flying disc. Now, if you were on the ground and you saw the flying disc, what would you say? No known propulsion system. You would look at a flying disc going ring, and you'd be like, how is it flying? I have no idea. So let's go back in time to the origin of these UFOs and things like that. Somebody sees a flying gray disc shooting around and zipping around, and they're like, how is it flying? I can't tell. It had no wings. It had no propellers. Yo, it was spinning, right? It was spinning. This guy just built a UFO for you right there. That's how it flies. It's brilliant technology. But this is just some hobbyist dude using parts from a hobby shop. Imagine what governments have been doing. So imagine you're in a plane and you see a tic-tac object and it's zipping and zooming about. The propulsion system could be rotors inside the tic-tac shape you can't see. And then you'd be like, I couldn't see a propulsion system. Then people are going to come out and be like, aliens is the only explanation. And you're going to be like, dude, it could just be that it had small internal jets that it uses to fly and you can't see them and it's just moving around with air. So imagine a tic-tac object with very small jet turbines, relatively small. And so it's sucking air in and pushing it out in different directions. It could zip, 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 zip really crazily fast. It's just jet drone technology. Right now, what we're seeing is propeller-based drone technology, but we don't travel the skies in airplanes anymore. We use jets, which are different. Jet and plane, different. Jet is the planes. So like if you're flying, we call them props or turboprops or whatever. Turboprops are pretty fast. Jets are a little faster. Jets, you've seen a jet engine, sucks air in, shoots it out. Propeller, not as powerful, but you can get like turboprop can be fairly good, but jets better. So We make drones. They use propellers. What would happen if you made a jet drone? You need an energy source, a strong fuel source. Well, there you go. And then someone would see it flying and they wouldn't know how it was flying. So I hate to burst your bubble, alien people, but that's just simple explanation. But I will take the next few minutes and explain to you why I think it's entirely possible that if aliens do come, they probably will be able to survive in our atmosphere. Or I should say there is a decent probability they could survive in our atmosphere. Will likely have hands or some kind of hands, the ability to manipulate fine-tuned small objects. And maybe even drink water. So let me tell you something. Dolphins. Dolphins pretty smart. Octopuses. Octopi. Pretty smart. Are they going to build spaceships? No. They're not. Now, it's possible. I'm not going to pretend like, the probabilities don't exist. For all we know that we are the anomalous life form in the world because oxygen destroys life. But I don't actually think that's the easiest way to poo-poo away what humanity is. In order for us to exist in the way we do, you need a planet that has all of these available resources. Helium, for instance, is finite and we may run out, but we kind of need helium. We literally need helium. I think we use it in the production of silicon chips or something like that, medical technology and MRIs. So synthesizing would be very important. Now, an octopus may be very smart, but underwater it cannot wield fire, and thus it will not be able to separate denser materials from lighter materials or things of that nature, in which case it will not be able to build anything, nor does it have fingers, so it would not be able to build anything. It can't chop down trees. It can't source carbon. Sorry, underwater might be nice because water is a fine medium for life to emerge, but life then needs to move beyond it. Life then enters into an oxygen-rich atmosphere, but through the process of evolution, slowly and over time, it gains the ability to survive in an oxygen-rich environment. In an oxygen-rich environment with the appropriate balance of chemicals as we have, nitrogen, being an inert, then you end up with trees, they grow, and all of a sudden now, the production and capture of carbon, humans can then utilize that energy, which is captured mostly from the sun, release the energy, and that massive releasing of energy allows us to manipulate the elements, thus sourcing metals, creating strong vehicles, producing fuels, isolating chemicals, which we can then use to create or produce or separate other elements and chemicals, creating fuels, casings, rocket ships, propulsion systems, etc. Producing magnets with bigger magnets. So there could be gigantic balls of gas that are very intelligent with big brains, and they float around their planet. But they don't have hands, so they can't manipulate small objects. They're not in an environment where they can capture energy from their nearest star and release it to manipulate denser materials. And so they probably would not be able to build everything that we can build on our planet. Not to mention we have Jupiter, which is a giant shield for us. We'd be peppered with asteroids if we didn't have it, even keeping the asteroid belt at bay. And so I believe, based on these facts, there is a decent probability, I don't know if maximum, but decent probability that any alien life that does figure out how to travel beyond the stars and come to another solar system planet would probably have to have similar bodily functions. They don't have to see or hear, but they need the ability to manipulate, so opposable thumbs or digits that can pick up objects and manipulate them. An octopus can move things around, but it's not going to be screwing in anything and creating, the most rudimentary forms of connecting objects and sealing objects. So probably going to, have hands. So it could have more than two, maybe more. It'll probably be able to survive in our environment. So actually, I'll put it this way. Avatar, actually probably an accurate depiction of what alien life might be. The air is on the planet not too dissimilar to Earth's. The aliens are bipedal, slightly different. I don't know, the weird brain connecting thing doesn't seem to make sense. But they have hands with 3 fingers, so they can manipulate things. They're not that advanced. But they have the capability to speak because the worlds are similar. There's water. They go in the water. There's a gaseous atmosphere. So life emerges in a much similar way. It literally makes a ton of sense. Now, as for what we're seeing here, yeah, I know we can talk about aliens all day and night, but my friends, the sad reality is it's probably just military tech. And China's probably just gearing up for war. And China's probably just spying on us, interfering in our systems and causing internet blackouts, economic damage, because they need us knocked off balance before they move and take Taiwan. That's the reality. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So I'll leave it there, I suppose, but I'll just make the announcement for those that didn't hear it, and then I'll have to put something on my other channel. We're going to be changing the Timcast YouTube channel. At this point, there's no reason to have two channels which are functionally the same and to try and force out content of a political... Like, the problem was it's confusing to explain to people this channel and the other channel, so I'm just going to put everything on this channel. And then I'll probably just do the 5 segments or whatever I feel like doing, I guess. I'll just do what I feel like doing. And then as for youtube.com/Timcast, it may just be defunct, but I think what we're going to try to do is create timcast.com content. So anything we do for the website can go at youtube.com/Timcast when it's news related. We've got a documentary coming out with Lauren Southern called Infringed. It's about gun control. We ask many people, what is an assault rifle, assault weapon, and they don't know. We've got a documentary coming out on the Federal Reserve. So these will probably go up on the Timcast channel. A lot of people probably won't like that, but you know, I don't want to delete the channel outright. It's like the first channel I had, but times changed. And Timcast IRL is the main show at this point. It's way more successful, way more notable. Most people don't even watch the other channels anymore. It gets a decent amount of views, you know, hundreds of thousands. But I don't know. Shifting priorities, and I think that's the way we're going to have to go about doing it. So I don't know what that means for this channel. Obviously, this segment is a little bit longer than I normally do for 1 p.m. A little bit more fun, a little bit less serious. That may be the route I go with it, just because... We get too entrenched in all the politics, and you got to talk about something different. So it is what it is. The next segment will, in fact, be coming up. I think what I'll do is I'll put up the segment on this channel at 4 p.m., but it's probably just going to be a short segment, and then 6 and 6:30. So we'll give that a shot, I guess. I don't know. I'm just chilling. The idea mostly is that Timcast IRL is the real thing running the whole business. And so now we have some room to experiment with these channels and the personal commentary stuff that I make, so we can try and figure out to make something better, and we will. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.